Hi, everybody. Earl Flametta here again from the Cryptopolitan. And on today's show, we have our guest, Andrew. Andrew, how are you today?
Doing well. Earl, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Fantastic.
Good, good.
Love your audio, love your lighting. This is great. The last time someone talked to me, they were almost in the dark. So this is a good change of pace for me. So I can see your face, which is nice.
Nice.
So,
Well, we've got some snow falling here, so I think it's lighting up the window. Yeah.
oh, that's really cool. Where are you located?
I'm based out of Golden, Colorado, so right outside of
Oh,
Denver. Yeah.
fantastic. Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny. My literally my two interviews ago, the founder was also based out of Colorado. So that's why. So
Yeah.
no,
There's a
there.
huge community here. Yeah. So nice.
Absolutely. Well, I'm in Vancouver, so it's not snowing yet, thankfully. Maybe on the mountain, but not down here. So there we go. Well, let's jump right into it, shall we? Tell us about the project you're working on.
Yeah. So I'm working on Blockscout. It
Mhm.
is an open source block explorer for EVM networks. So
Okay.
can break that down a little bit for you. Obviously, open source, the code is available for anyone to use,
Hmm.
to fork. Many chains in the ecosystem use Blockscout just by forking our code and running the Explorer.
Hmm.
A block explorer, for those who don't know, is basically like the front end for a blockchain.
Yep.
So you've got all this data coming on chain, right? Sometimes in sub-second blocks, it's optimized for storage, for consensus, but it's not very human readable. So the job of the block explorer is to take all that data and index it and then provide it to those who need to use it. So we provide it to developers through APIs. We have a RESTful API, JSON RPC, as well as through the UI. So that's really the primary way that people come to an Explorer to make sure their transaction went through,
Hmm.
maybe to look at their wallet, see what assets they hold and all of that. And then, EVM networks, Ethereum virtual machine, it's the VM that's running really most of the chains that are programmable that are coming out today. One of the interesting things with EVMs is that you see other ecosystems now who are building L2s using EVMs on top of,
Hmm.
Bitcoin or Filecoin, Solana. So we're seeing Blockscout being used in all these other ecosystems as well.
Fantastic. This is going to be a good tie-in to a lot of funny enough, previous interviews where they're all running L2s and they could probably use your project. So
Yeah,
that's really
well, they
cool.
might be already.
Yeah, no kidding. There you go. That was probably the best explanation. That's probably the best explanation I've ever heard from like a really simple one to then blowing up. So you're very good at explaining. That's really cool.
No,
Uh,
thanks.
that's not normal in this space, by the way, because most people I go, can you explain that? And they just get even worse, right? This is like, so it's like no one's gonna understand that. But that was beautiful. That was a thing
Well,
of
oh,
beauty. I don't know if you
thanks. Yeah.
have you
I
heard the
try to start out simple and then
and
move to
then
a little
start
more
drilling down.
complicated because I think when we're in this space and it's kind of an echo chamber talking to all these blockchain nerds and pretty soon the things you're talking about the average person has no idea. So,
Well, in any situation, it doesn't just have to be blockchain,
mhm.
right? You talk about this in the medical space, you talk about this in the finance space, and
Yeah,
everything turns
exactly.
into alphabet soup real quick, right? So
Yep.
so
Yep.
there you go. But no, that was fantastic. I don't know if you ever heard the quote, if you can't explain it simply, you can't explain it. So
Mm.
you did a bang up job.
Oh,
So
thank you.
with that being said, now we kind of have the foundational layer. So now we're allowed to go a little nerdy. What are you most excited about in the project? That's either
Yeah.
that's either just come out, maybe coming down the pipe that you're allowed to talk about.
Hmm.
What's exciting to you as a person? Like, what's interesting?
Hmm. Well, our project has a lot of different directions right now. So,
Hmm.
like I mentioned, we're supporting all these different L2s, and a lot of these are application chains that kind of have their own, own idea of how they want to run the VM. So,
Hmm.
one thing I'm excited about is how we're going to kind of customize things so that we can work with each of these networks in their own way. But I would say overall, more of a going multi-chain. So you have all of these L2s popping up
Hmm.
and it's creating some fragmentation, right? So
Right.
how do we come back around and bring all these together? So
Well,
what
there's
we're
got to be
working on,
some. there's got to be like some universal truths from the explorer side of the equation, but because you can't just flip everything upside down on its head, because they got to be able to read it at a certain level, and you can't just say, hey,
Exactly.
we're going to flip everything backwards and forwards and upside down so that we're weird. And so, for otherwise the explorer can't really do its job because it doesn't know where the hell to look, right? So I'm sure
Exactly.
there's still a universal piece, right? I mean, that would be a fascinating read, like, what's the universal piece that we've all agreed to, that this is the order we're going to do stuff in, right?
Yeah, well, I don't think that's how it's going. It's kind of growing organically right now, and there's going to
Yeah.
be some chains that drop off and some that make it. But yeah, as an explorer, one of our jobs is to tie all of these things together. So I'm sure,
Mm,
as you know, when you use an address on one chain, if it's an EVM chain, you can use that address on another chain.
right.
So, tying that together in a way that's more of an umbrella over all of these chains. So
Mhm.
we're working on a multi-chain explorer where you'll be able to go in, type in that address, for example, and then see all the tokens and all the transactions that you've made on different chains. Because as we're making these transactions on different chains, I think some things are getting lost in translation.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's one thing we're really excited about.
Well, eventually, I'm sure, like, as we decentralize stuff and everything gets out there, there's going to be some sort of unique identifier structure where everyone finally agrees on, hey, this is how we're going to do this, because that way the interoperability between the chains doesn't make everything go crazy, right? So I'll give you
Right.
an example. In the SEO world, we did that with structured data language, right? So, having information on name, address, phone number, it's always going to be like this, okay? And that way it
Right.
doesn't blow up every single thing. Because, like, here's a funny question. Do you know how Google spells the word street?
Well, I'm sure if I said STREET, I'd be wrong.
Well, because it could be SCRET, it could be capital SCREET, it could be ST, it could be ST period, it could be a capital ST period. And those are all different variables in Google's eyes, right? So because
Right.
there was no ubiquitous structure where it's like, hey, this is a universal language of, hey guys, can you all just use this one? And so because that doesn't exist for structured data query language, we had to, like Microsoft and Google and Apple all had to come together and agree on, hey, this is how we're going to do it moving forward. Otherwise, we're all going to go nuts, right?
Hmm.
So I can foresee that, eventually as chains fall off, everyone's like, hey,
Right.
let's stop screwing with this one thing, and that way we can actually have a unique identifier across chain, and we won't all go nuts, right? So as you were saying,
Yeah.
some stuff falls off. You're like, wait, not that one. Please don't drop out.
Yeah, it also holds true for the rollup situation, right? So we have optimistic rollups, we have ZK rollups, we
Yes.
have these different types of rollups coming on, and how are those all going to be connected?
Right. But database 101, don't throw away the unique ID. Sure, the
Exactly.
unique ID is actually legitimate and unique, right? Because everything blows up. So that makes
Yep. Yep.
funny stuff. But yeah, this is why I'm thankful for projects such as yours that are cross chain, that can work and somehow keep everything under that big umbrella, right?
Yeah, and keep things consistent for users too. I think that's a part of this tooling that's important for all these different networks. If users are going to a different block explorer for every different chain, all of a sudden you have to learn a whole new way to explore, or
Yeah,
for other
the
tools,
bloat
right?
gets a little crazy, right? And then it gets a little heavy on the code side, and everything runs a little slower. And it's like, well, yeah, that's because you didn't pick a UID, right? So just
Yeah,
pick
exactly.
one point, and then we'll all run around it. So yeah, very
Well, I
cool.
think we're still coming to those standards. So it's kind of an exciting time right now with this like
Absolutely. Well,
Cambrian
in
explosion of chains. Yeah.
exactly. Well, it's the big growth period where you get a lot of fun, a lot of exploratory stuff, a lot of
Right.
things, a lot of new ways of looking at things.
Right. And
But
the best ones win in the end, right?
well, it's evolutionary theory, right?
Yep.
So there you go. Cool. Well, when you're not trying to herd cats and keep everything under one umbrella, what do you do for fun?
Well, I've been taking some guitar lessons, so
Oh, cool.
that's my fun right now. I've played music for a long time,
Okay. What
and
what did you play before guitar?
I played keyboard,
Oh,
played
cool.
piano.
I'm a keyboard pianist myself. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah,
there's
it's great. Everything's laid out for you right there, right? So
for
with
sure.
guitar,
Actually,
it's a little bit different.
it's different, but guitar I think is more versatile because one, you can bring one with you, and two, I saw people playing guitar like the tap style where it's like sideways and they're tapping like that.
Mm.
And then there
Hmm.
was one guy who was playing I can't remember the song off the top of my head now, but he was actually adjusting the actual guitar itself, like where you tune it as part of the song for like almost like a manual whammy kind of bar. I'm like, that's crazy. So
Oh yeah,
the straight ability that people playing this instrument is nuts. So that's always fascinated me, right? Like how many ways can you play it? Oh, like this, like this, like this, right?
right. And there's so many people who are so good at it, but it's it's fun to learn, and I'm playing with a group of people who are also just learning, some basic folk tunes and everything else. But
Absolutely, that's fun. Cool, cool.
yeah.
That's definitely a neat piece. They say that the people who end up learning an instrument, add another, dimension to your soul, and I believe that, right? Because anyone I know who ends up playing an instrument, they get that deep connection to something else, right? And that's something special, right? For those who haven't tried an instrument yet, highly recommended. So
Yeah, for sure. Or
cool.
just singing in the shower, right?
Or just singing. Your voice is an instrument unto itself. I've never learned how to use that. I actually just started taking singing lessons because I'm a
Oh,
speaker,
there you go.
and apparently it helps you speak for longer without like burning out your voice. So I'm taking singing lessons to learn how to talk. So the side benefit is I become more proficient at karaoke, which I'm apparently supposed to be because I'm Filipino, and that we have that tendency for people to say that. But I bring shame to my heritage because I can't sing. So yeah, it is what it is. So maybe I won't touch the guitar then. We'll keep that to you and the professionals. So yeah, we're at the end here where we kind of just we want to give people a reason to connect with you. And obviously you work with how many chains? Lots.
Uh, Thousands. We actually
Thousands.
work with about 150 chains that we host
Mhm.
ourselves or do customizations or optimizations for, but yeah, there's thousands in the wild. So
Well, there you
if
go.
you've used an Explorer or a chain, you've likely already used Blockscout.
Fantastic. Well, give people a reason to connect and tell them where you want them to connect with you.
Sure. Yeah, so we're pretty excited about this new program we're launching now. It's called the Merits Program,
Hmm.
and it's a way to kind of gamify exploration a little bit, make it a little bit more engaging, a little bit more fun. You can earn merits for different activities within the Explorer. But the first thing you need to do is sign up for the program. You can actually do that through the Ethereum Blockscout instance, which
Okay.
is eth.blockscout.com,
Nice.
and click on merits there. Of course, following us on Twitter would give you all that information as well, and it's at
Okay.
blockscout.com. And if you're a developer, join our Discord. That's where we really connect with people who have questions, or if you want to spin out your own chain, we're happy to assist you there.
Very
Spin out
cool.
your own Explorer for that chain, of course.
Absolutely. Cool, cool. Well, Andrew, it's a real pleasure getting to interview you and learn more about Block Scout, and that was a lot of fun. Any
Great.
parting words?
Just keep on exploring.
I love it. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, Earl.
Take
Take
care.
care.